Okay. So one of the things that many of the Mefarshim pointed out, the Ramban develops this a bit, some of the Midrashim develop this, and this is important to understand Yisro in general. I meant Yisro, that was a mistake. Is that the Aseret HaDibrot should not be seen only as laws, but the Aseret HaDibrot are also overarching categories that then become developed elsewhere in the Torah. And therefore you have units in the Torah where you seem to see expansions of the Aseret HaDibrot, right, which emphasize really this point that the Aseret HaDibrot are not, right, because you always ask, like, what is special about them? Part of it is that they are not, they stand in for other principles. We'll see this again when we get to Parshas Kedoshim. And there, the lens really is that, once you mandate Kedusha, you can demand a lot more than you could have before, right? The Torah slowly develops the ethical requirements, the moral, religious requirements of the Jewish people. And as you expand it, so, Lo Tirtzach, by the time you get to Kedoshim, becomes Lo Saman Al Dam Reyecha, right? And don't just not kill, but don't stand by while someone is dying, right? And you can see how that's an expansion, right? It's clearly the same principle, right? It can be concerned about human life, but there's you can expect a lot more people to not kill than you can to not stand idly by while someone is dying, v'chulei, right? And that sort of is the theme of Kedoshim. But Mishpatim has that as well, and at least 9 out of the 10, which is pretty good, finds itself in Mishpatim that points in this direction as well. Now here I think the main point of it is not as it is in Kedoshim, where there's an expansion through Kedusha. Well, so one second, right? I just think the point of it here is, right? The point of it here is that, it makes sense, right? We got the Aseret HaDibrot, and then it didn't end there. God's like, okay, but now let's see how those principles manifest themselves in a more, not fully yet, but more complete legal system, right? So where do we find them? So if we just skim through the parsha, first mitzvah in the parsha, Eved Ivri. Good. Tell me which mitzvah is an expansion of? You're like, what?
Near firm, okay.
Not
what?
to kidnap.
No tigso.
No. Shabbos. Shabbos.
Oh, yeah.
Why? How do I know?
Yovel,
Oh, come on.
the Shemitah Yovel.
Ki tignev ivri sheish shanim yavod uvashvit yaseved chadashei chinam. Right? It's 6 work, 1 not. Right? And who's the emphasis? Remember, in the Aseret HaDibrot, what is part of the emphasis of Shabbos?
Because I'm the guy that took you out of Mitzrayim.
Who rests on Shabbos?
You're Eved.
You're Eved, right? So here, it's just another 6 in 1 of, okay, there are 6 in 1 models. I mean, I think everybody realizes that Shemitah is 2 years, what Shabbos is to the week, right? That, I think, you have to be pretty dense to miss that one, right? That it is a Shabbat, just in years. The Torah tells you that explicitly. But this is another one, right? This is essentially a personalized Shemitah. I will point out, Rav Rosenzweig likes noting this, that while the majority of evidence that we have in Tanakh indicates that Shabbos is Kadosh V'Kaima, right, that it is eternally Kadosh regardless of whether a person is celebrating it, as opposed to Yom Tov, which is chosen by Bezdin, the Rabbi Yosef Karo in his Magen Meisharim on this unit says that there's a sugya in Shabbos, Samachtet, of what happens if you're lost in the Midbar, right? You don't know what day Shabbos is. So the Gemara says that you count 6 and 1, right? That you keep your own Shabbos, which according to the simple pshat is simply Shlo Tishkach Torah Shabbos, right? You won't forget Shabbos, and we tell you not to do Malacha except for Pekuach Nefesh on any given day, and say Kiddush Hamdalo every 7th day. But the Magen Meisharim says on it, on this pasuk, V'sod hadavar mahalech, right? Mahalech b'midbar. Right? That you learn from this that, no, at some level, Shabbos is personalized. And the 2 pieces of evidence he has is Mahalech B'midbar in the Gemara and Eved Ivri, that it's his personalized 7th. Right? It's his personalized Shemitah, his personalized Shabbos. Okay, so that is Shabbos. And you see it as an expansion, right? This recognition that there has to be a rest, even for, let's say, the working class, or the lower than working class, whatever you want to put it. Good. Okay, let's skip down. Pasuk Yud Bet. Makei ish v'amet mot yumat. V'asher lo tzadav Elohim inali yado v'samti lecha makom asher neshama. That should be obvious, right? Yeah. If someone murders, then he's put to death. But here, what's the expansion? But only intentional murder. But accidental murder, we find out what to do, right? The Aseret HaDibrot says don't kill, right? Don't murder. And now Mishpatim comes and says, by the way, there's different levels of murder. Right, you see, it's an expansion principle. Again, it's not necessarily you find a Kedoshim, right, we're demanding more of you. Here it's just, okay, what does this look like? Right, if we don't want to just stay with principles, but we want to say part of a Kabbalah Torah is that you now have a legal system, so how does it play itself out? Now, then you get Gonev Ishu Micharov and Imtzav Yadom Mot Yumat, which according to Chazal is literally the Aseret HaDibrot, right, kidnapping, according to Chazal is one of the 10, right? Now, obviously, you get other expansions, because not just death, right, it's also damages, which at some level is an expansion, right? What happens if you attack someone, but you don't manage to kill him, right? Which is, Pasuk Yud-Chet, right? Listen to how the Psukim are phrased. It's not just if you're in a fight, it's if you're in a fight and he happens not to die. Right? I mean, what are the Psukim emphasizing? That there's a spectrum. It's not like there's murder and then there's assault. Right? It's like sometimes you can be in a fight that could lead to murder or could not lead to murder. If it leads to murder, so it's intentional murder, you get put to death. If it's accidental murder, you go to the Yer Miklat. And if it doesn't end in death, even though it could have, right? I mean, that's what it's saying. It's a spectrum. Right? This is all part of the same discussion. So then you pay, virapo, yirapay, etc., etc. So now so far we've done Shabbos. We've done, right? Now, obviously, Pasuk Tedvav is an easy one. Umakeh aviv v'imo mot yumat, right? Umikaleh, and then 2 psukim later, umikalel aviv v'imo mot yumat, right? That there's a special isser of hitting your parents, right? And cursing your parents, right? That is obviously a manifestation. Keep it up, and that's pretty easy. That's not like no fancy lumdas that you need to get to that one. Now we have other expansions. Pasuk Chav Bet discusses what if it's not murder, but you cause a miscarriage, right? Again, right? That's a middle case. Now, obviously, we can keep going on these Geneva ones, right? You get B'machteret, etc., etc. Okay, what else do you get? Let's see. So you get several Avodah Zarah ones, right? Several. You get Zoveh, right? You get Mechashefa Lo Techayeh, which magic is some sort of an expansion, but then you get Zovech Elohim Yacharom Bilti Ladonai Levado. If you bring a korban to an idol, then you get killed. You can only bring korbanot to God, which is some combination of Anochi Hashem Elokecha and Lo Yilecha. Right? That should jump out at you. That's easy enough. But then you get V'ger lo toneh v'lo tilchatzenu kigerim heitem be'eretz Mitzrayim, and then you get Kol almana v'yatom lo ta'anun. Right? Don't oppress the ger v'almana. Im anei ta'aneoto ki imtzok yitzak elai shamo eshmat zakato. Then what is that? Right? That's a pun. Well, no. Listen to the language. It's a pun on lo taneh bereach hayit shaker.
Oh.
Right? Imano ta'aneoto, right? Which can either mean oppress or it can mean, right? Now what it may mean is, right, I was listening to a shir or discussion with Rai Foreman and Imu Shalev, right, where they know that this pun may be pointing to the fact that, right, there's a tendency to misuse the justice system, right, which is essentially what? Right, the ninth Dibra is, right, don't, right, misuse the justice system. Who do people often misuse it against? Right, the people who are powerless, right? So God says, don't do that, right? Imane ta'aneoto, gimtzok yitzak elai shamo eshmat zakato. Now then you get, right, Elohim lo tikalel, v'nasibam chalo ta'or. Then, Perek Chav Gimel. Lo tisa shema shav.
Alright.
But watch this one, right? Don't, right? What is that? Lo tisa shema shav.
Sounds like
you know I said it right, yeah?
What?
Sounds like the
third. Except the end of the pasuk is al tashet yed chayim rasha liot ed chamas, to be a false witness. right? So there is some sort of overlap between the 3rd and the 9th, which first of all makes sense, because often, I would say at an easy level it makes sense, because think about a modern court, right? Jews swear, right? Meaning at some level, right, people use vows, especially in the name of God, to accentuate their ne'emanus, right? But therefore it can be misused. There also is a conceptual link, right? That testifying falsely is destroying the reputation of a person, but using God's name in vain is misusing God's reputation. Right, so there is also conceptual links. So how many of the makot have we gotten?
8.
9, I think. Have we gotten 9? We got Anochi and Lo Yelecha. Right, we got Lo Tiza Shem Hashav. We got Shabbos. We got Kavod Adicha. We're missing Los Achmod. Right, the one that's missing Los Achmod. But I'll just say quickly, right, that doesn't really bother me at all. Because
It's in the next parsha.
No, because as the Rishonim note, Los Achmod is the one that permeates the other 4 on that side. Right, meaning often what leads to murder and theft, and right at its core is the fact that you want what other people have. Right, that's what leads. At some level, it is the all-encompassing one. Right, that the Torah is saying avoid the emotions that lead to all these interpersonal crimes. It doesn't bother me that you wouldn't find an explicit mention of it. But at any rate, the fundamental point that I think comes out of it is that it makes sense. If the Aseret HaDibrot are principles, but they're not supposed to be all and end all, they're supposed to set up an actual system of law, then Mishpatim is a first attempt, so to speak, of the Torah, or the first round of saying, okay, well, this is what it looks like when you expand those principles into a holistic system. Okay? As you go through the parsha, you can look for more. There are more, right? It's not only these, but that should, again, this is not, I didn't make this up, right? The Midrashim, the Ramban, right, developed this a lot, right? It does sort of jump out at you, but it makes sense conceptually and does frame Mishpatim as the logical parsha to follow Yisro.